Hi everyone, my name is Brian Brown, and I'm here with the Eclectic.
All right. Please introduce yourself, sir.
Hey, I'm Brian Brown,
All right.
the Brian Brown. There you go. I just yeah, yeah.
All right. So Brian Brown. All right. Who? What do you do? And let the people know what you're about.
What I do is I'm a musician. I'm a pianist. That's one of my main instruments I play, and then the rest of them just came along. Uh, Piano was actually the first instrument I played, but uh, what led me to play it is a great story. So.
All right. Can you tell us what that story is?
Um, it all started out, I visited this church and it was a great pastor there. He was giving the word, he was preaching the word, and what happened was it was like, you know how some churches they have musicians in them, they have a drummer, pianist, maybe a full band with a bass player and everything, guitar, horns, you know. But this particular church didn't have anything. They didn't have any instruments per se, but tambourines. And all they had was a radio, and they'll just play tracks and stuff, and the praise team would just sing. So I felt like, man, it's something else that's needed, it's something missing. And I felt like it was music. So, and I feel like the church itself deserved it. So that's when I went on the hunt. I didn't thought of myself to play piano. I just was like, hey, I need to go hunt for them. So, yeah.
All right. So what other instruments are you good at? Because if I remember right, you were a great drummer.
Yeah, yeah. Drums. I was a trombone player in marching band. It's a crazy story about that. My band director forced me to play trombone, and I didn't want to play it at first, but when I actually played it, that's when I started to fall in love with music, and that's when I felt the power behind it, and it was like, man, and that's what changed my life. That's what really got me into the music game. So,
All right. So when exactly did you start? Was it high school or was it you before then?
it was my senior in high school when I actually decided to become a pianist, and that's it's a funny story. It was like I told my counselor, I met with my counselor, and I was like, hey, can you sign me up, put me in the piano class? And she said, Brian, this is her from her knowing me and how I was. I was a rough bug, And some people like to say, hey, I was just wild. I was a wildcat. And for her to see that I want to play an instrument or play piano per se and learn it in my senior year, she thought that was just crazy. But I told her, no, I really need this. And I really need this. She said, okay, Brian, these students gonna be ahead of you. These are seniors. And I'm like, and that's the only class that was available. There was a freshman class, sophomore, this a senior class. So ain't no telling. And that's pretty much where it was. But I tell you, it was crazy. I only spent one day in the class. But it's another story to that.
All right. Quick question.
Right?
Is it true that you gave up on football for music?
Yes, it is true, and my parents went crazy. Even my mom tried, don't tell her, but she tried to get me out of the marching band. It was like, you need to focus on school. They was not with me being in the music band.
So they didn't have a problem with you giving up the sport, but they did have a problem with you
Doing
giving
music.
music.
Yes,
Oh.
yes, they did. And, but they did, it's now blowing their minds. It's like, wow, we didn't know that he had that in him. So, some people won't see it. See what they some people may despise the beginning, but hey, it was worth it though. It was worth it.
All right. See, what else can we ask you real quick? All right. So, who taught you? Was it school or was it someone in church?
Oh, get ready to be your mind be blown, dude. I taught myself, literally taught myself, and I didn't know I had it in me. What happened was the class that I signed up for, that my counselor had me sign up for, that I spent one day in, I actually was intimidated. And I really didn't have nothing to be intimidated about, but it was the fact like, man, I can't catch up with these guys, you know, these kids. Someone was playing Beethoven. I didn't even know who that was. I thought that was a artist, you know, or a singer or something. I never heard of these folks, but come to find out he was a famous pianist back in the day and composer. And I sat in the class, and these kids were just going in to sight reading, flipping pages, and I'm like, and she gave me a folder, was like, here you go, it's ready to start class. And I looked through there, I was like, no, this is not. It's too many notes in one beat, you know, in one measure. I'm like, what is that? I see 22 notes in one measure. I'm like, hey, and it came around the time it was for lunchtime. You know, being a senior, you could pretty much do anything you want, per se. But I politely asked my teacher at the time, piano teacher, and still nothing was being taught to me. That it was the same day I actually entered the classroom. And I asked her, can I just stay back for lunch, you know, stay back in the classroom? She said that was fine. And I sat in there, and lunch usually lasts about 20 minutes, maybe 25 to the most. And I sat in there real sad. I was actually down about the situation. I said, man, I wanted to help out the church. I really want to learn this instrument. It's more than just the church. I just really want to learn this for some reason. And I felt down like, there's nothing else for me to do, you know. What's gonna be my purpose, you know? And so I found this piano that was in this class in the piano room. They have a complete set of keyboards. But there was this one keyboard that just stood out to me. It looked exactly like a grand piano, and I just sat there in front of it. I put my foot on the sustain pedal. I didn't know that was a sustain pedal. I was like, what is this? A button, you know? And I tapped the key, and that's when I realized, oh, that's for holding a note. And I started to look at the keys, and was like, that key looks like that key. That key looks like that key. What will happen if I press all those keys into a, you know, simultaneously, or just bounce around with those same keys that look alike, and pressing the same pedal at the same time. And once I did it, that's why I went to jump around the piano after that. I was like, what if I press this with that? Oh, what if I go back? Oh, and then by the time that the teacher and the class came back, I had composed my first piano piece that day. And they were amazed, and my piano teacher was like, you don't need this class. That's something that can't be taught. And she couldn't believe that was my first time actually touching the piano. And after that, I went from church to church, just hop on people piano at different churches, just hop on, and it just assumed that I can play any song. They're like, can you play this? Can you play that? And all I could play was what I could compose. I didn't know about anything about chords, progressions, and all that. I didn't know what that was. I was just playing what I made up, and that's what all started. You know. And after that, hey, here today.
I know that you're an artist, but have you ever been a part of a band?
Yes, I had a band. Well, it's something like it's like a get together band. We not an actual band, but we have a name. We call ourselves Common Legacy, but that's just when we get together. It's not like the old kind of like that's when we go around. Hey, get in touch with us. We a band, but it's just friends that we just get together and we just jam out. So yeah.
So you would consider yourself more of a solo act?
Yeah. I consider myself that because there's a hospital that I volunteered to help out, and there's a grand piano over there, and I volunteered to play that and help out folks, you know, use the God-given talent that was given, you know, and use it for the right reason.
All right, next question. Well, this is a two-part. Biggest opportunity, and what was the biggest payout?
Oh man.
Doesn't just have to be money.
Alright, there's two answers to this. when I volunteered to play piano, I didn't know how it would inspire people. I didn't think it was gonna inspire. I kind of used it as practice time because I didn't have my own like tangible piano, so I used it, and I didn't realize how much effective. I didn't realize the power of music really until I started seeing people cry, and people start coming up to me and telling me their life stories, and how my music was changing their lives, changing their mindset. And that's why I was like, oh man, it's definitely a gift from God. Because playing music without words, I didn't think that it can have an effect in people. I didn't know music didn't have to have words in it to have an effect on folks. And it was really changing people's lives. And what really pushed me even further to go into the biggest payout was when a man came up to me and said his wife has been having numerous surgeries, and his stress, he was so depressed, and he was so heavily burdened that he didn't know what else to do. But when he heard my music and heard me playing in there, he was like, I just witnessed a miracle from God. Now I know God is real, because when you played, all that burden, all that stress just left. And I just kind of looked down and was like, how can that happen? You know what I'm saying? And I was like, oh, this is really, for somebody to experience God, that wasn't even my intentions. And after that, my whole attention started to change. That's why I started going back to play, because there might be some more people like him. So it's like, I gotta use my gift somehow. I can't just keep it closed in. There's people that need it. And my biggest payout, that was the biggest payout for that man to tell me that. And that actually changed my whole life and changed my whole perspective on what music really is and what it's about. And yeah, that was probably the biggest payout. And after that, offers come from here, being on the news, that was pretty cool. They just called me like, hey, they just want to do an interview on you. You heard what you do at the hospital? I was like, what? That is cool. So, and it be the little things, man. Usually it don't be that many people. It be like one person, but I don't care, I ain't with all the popularity thing. Just if you can help one person, I feel like that one person is worth a million people, cause that can, have a domino effect. They'll go back feeling happy, then the rest of their family see them happy, and then they give their little testimony on what happened. People lives change, and it probably made that man's marriage even better. So that's pretty cool.
All right. So I can tell that you're a man of God, so gospel is a heavy influence on you. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about the other genres of music, and how do they influence you?
Man, a funny story. Classical is one of the ones, what's so crazy was, I didn't even know I was playing classical. I was composing my piano pieces and didn't know what genre to put on it. I figuring there was no genre for it, because I never really heard this style. I was only in the piano class for a day, so, and I really didn't hear anything. So as I was playing, old lady, this old lady, I don't know, she was 80, 85, 90, she just came around creeping. She said, and it was kind of spooky, because she asked me, do I know what type of style of music I'm playing? And that's weird to ask somebody, I was like, well, and it was a funny question, so I was wondering how did she assume that? But I told her, I said, I don't know what style I'm playing. I'm just kind of making it up, as I go. And she said, you are a classical player. Listen to Yanni. And I was like, who is this Yanni guy? And that wasn't the first time I heard that, but it was like people were like comparing me, are you playing Yanni? Are you playing Yanni? I'm like, I thought it was an Asian guy. And I was like, who is this guy? Then a nurse finally at the hospital, at Memorial Hospital, by the way, in Savannah, Georgia, she bought the album for me. And when I heard his music, they actually told me the same thing that he learned. He just picked up the instrument and just went off with it. And now he has this big band, and everything. He travels the world playing music. And when I heard it, I was like, wow. It actually almost, it's kind of close to that. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just this lone star. And really, and that's what really made me, you know, be more inspired. Because I really didn't really have an inspiration when it came to the piano. I just know the church needed it. I was never raised into the music, the sound of gospel, so I really didn't know anything but except what I was playing. And people always told me it's more classical, and I get that a lot from other musicians who are in the church and stuff like that. I have a different style. It's more classical than anything, so I consider my more inspired by the classical sound, and I integrated a lot into the gospel and how I compose. So if you could do classical, you pretty much can do anything. Jazz just came with it, and then everything else was a flow, but classical was the first. And I didn't even know I was playing classical. That's crazy.
All right. So you said you're from Savannah, Georgia.
Yeah.
How would you say Savannah has influenced you?
Yeah, it's tough. One time, I mean, I was kind of in the streets, and used to fight. I mean, it's you are what you keep around you, you know. And but when I really start getting out into expanding my mindset and going out and seeing like downtown Savannah instead of being in the neighborhood, you know, and nothing there, you know, it was really the neighborhood wasn't an influence. It was more of a negative influence on my life. So until I finally got out and started seeing, hey man, it's more to this than this little neighborhood, you know. It's more to this. It's so many people moving. It's so many things getting rearranged, you know. It's more to this. People talking different ways, you know, and it's different styles. My style started to change. The way I you know. So yeah, man. But it really, you know, it had influence on my life in so many ways. This city, it's not a bad city, you know. It's just who you keep in your company, you know, who your company is. I really had to change my friends and get around positive folks who talked about going to college, going in the military, and you know, doing this and doing that. I was hanging around guys who planning on going to Morehouse. I didn't even know what that was. I didn't know about, only college I knew about was the one that was local, Nevada State. But I didn't hear about any other schools, so education wasn't a thing. But while, you know, I used to roam in, all the guys I used to hang around with, education wasn't our key. We wasn't just, money was the thing, but we didn't know that education was the thing that would be needed, you know. And all it took was to change my company, you know, get involved in music. Oh man, if it wasn't for music, I don't know what I would have been doing. And that really, so yeah, Savannah ain't that bad. It's what you make of it.
All right, Brian. Thanks for sitting down talking with us, telling us your story. Where can people find you if they want to find you in your music?
Man, just hit me on Facebook, ABJB. It might change again. I don't know. I'll be changing that thing all the way around. And I got a Twitter account, and it's at Preach BB, like preach, like preacher, preach BB. That's my initials, BB. And Instagram is the same. So yeah, just go on there, check it out. And I'll be making some more stuff, and I'll be updating my YouTube